Afrique Université est une web TV panafricaine, universitaire et scientifique éditée à Yaoundé au Cameroun par l'Agence universitaire pour l'innovation.
Audio Jungle. Audio Jungle.
Are you the one who denied to come out inside my farm with your cattle? You be the one that denied to come out from my farm with the cattle? You? Yes, now you?
These altercations takes place in Banswa in the west of Cameroon. The coordinator of the application and research firm from the Faculty of Agronomy and Agricultural Sciences of the University of Chang, Professor Felix Mucheyi, reproaches to Mbororo headman for having entered the university domain with his herd of cows. He says he has suffered destruction for several years.
Il y a 2 ans, par exemple, on a fait un essai.
2 years ago, for example, an adaptation and yield test was carried out on red sorghum cultivation in the area. Before the harvest, everything was destroyed. It was a year of work entirely wasted. 1 year ago, we also tested 4 varieties of wheat. Exactly the same phenomenon happened.
De maïs, de semences, on était en train de tester et effectivement la même chose s'est repassée.
This type of conflict between Mbororo breeders and sedentary farmers takes place throughout the country's territory. The problem is the Mbororo nomadic people, whose main activity is cattle breeding, ultimately do not have homes, and the shepherds, depending on the season, migrate to seek pastures for their animals, and they are seldom welcome wherever they go, and they are accused of destroying plants. GIZ, the German International Cooperation Agency, has decided to take interest in the land tenure precariousness of this community. From February 23rd to 24th, 2021 in Chang, the Central Africa component of the Network of Excellence on Land Governance in Africa, a program that donates funds, organized a workshop dedicated to this issue. We chose the Mbororo people because it is a group that faces several land disputes. They have a way of life, which means that because of their traditional activities, they are forced to move from one environment to another with their cattle. They do not always have the space to settle these cattle, and this automatically creates conflict with the farmers.
Recaser ce bétail et ça crée automatiquement des conflits avec les agriculteurs.
On the occasion, the president of the Mbororo Social and Cultural Development Association, Magistrate Adamu Amadu, gave a presentation on the causes of the conflict between Mbororo herders and sedentary communities.
The galloping demography, which generates the growth of agricultural areas and which at the same time reduces pastoral areas. On the other hand, there is insecurity in the bush due to kidnapping in particular. Pastoralists can no longer access areas where they were used to grazing their herds.
Among the Mbororo dignitaries present, there is the Lamido of Didango, a kind of Mbororo enclave stuck in the department of the Nun, mainly populated by the Bamuns. The picture he paints shows the difficulties of coexistence between his subjects and the farmers from other communities.
As far as the issue of land is concerned, Didango had a surface area of 450 hectares. Today the surface area is reduced to 85 hectares. And despite this, we still have quarrels with the farmers. We have a drinking water project in Didango that we are unable to implement because the water table is in an area cultivated by farmers. And it takes negotiations each time. While this space belongs to Didango, farmers come to the pastoral zone, and yet Didango is only for breeding. We no longer have access to the most part of the land. We are invited by farmers who are not from our community. If I say today that I'm going to oppose it, it will be a general conflict. Each time we have to negotiate. Where is therefore the freedom? Where will the Mbororo community, made up mainly of breeders, be tomorrow?
Here is the expert on legal issues within the Mbororo Social and Cultural Development Association. Mr. Roland Sofon has been working with this group since 1999. The lawyer living in Bamenda in the English-speaking region of the Northwest directs the Access to Justice program within the Boskoda, the Mbororo problem, so he knows it inside out.
The first conflict that the Mbororo graziers or pastoralists face in Cameroon is access to land. And after coming in late into the country, they are considered as strangers. And so when they want to access the land now for their activity like grazing, even to stay, they consider them as strangers. And as such, they do not have the same rights in their communities like the non-graziers. Then the second issue, the problem they face is how to protect even the lands that they have. That is even registration of the land. You know, in Cameroon today, for you to register your land, that is, I'm talking of direct matriculation, you must have been on that land before 1974. And most of the graziers occupy land before 1974. But whenever they want to register that land, direct matriculation, which is very, very normal, their neighbors, who are the non-Mbororos, consider them as strangers.
After having listened to the first presentations on what has come to be called the Mbororo problem in Cameroon, a three-group consultation between researchers and Mbororo leaders takes place to gather the expectations of this community with regards to scientific research. It emerges that researchers today need to pay more attention to agro-pastoral conflicts. It is about putting masters and doctorate students on these questions so that they can produce dissertations, theses, books and articles. It is not all about producing these scientific works, but they must be capable of translating into the language of the Mbororos so that they can have access to them.
En les traduisant en français, en anglais et surtout en Mbororo.
Shock therapy proposed by the NELGA participatory mapping to build up the Mbororo community on the subject. The NELGA invited scientists to the workshop, affiliated in particular to the University of Yaoundé 1. They first explained how this approach derived from geography, called by distinguishing spaces help to move away this recurring conflict.
We have developed a tool that is pathway mapping that at least help for diagnostic, spatial diagnostic of communities uses on the land and see how they interact between themselves and how we can use it now to demarcate every actor's use so that the conflict should be reduced. So pathway mapping is a process that starts from the consent of the beneficiaries, that their communities are in conflict, but if they don't do it well, there is no problem.
Audio Jungle.
You can see farm, you can see the cattle.
The practical phase of this scientific teaching of participatory mapping takes place in Banswa, in a space where sedentary agriculture and nomadic Mbororo pastoralists compete each year during the transhumance period. The parties in conflict join in the exercise like the methodology recommends it.
Comme ça, ça part en ville.
C'est deux qui se croisent.
Je dis que ça se divise là-bas, ça part, mais l'autre vient comme ça. Ça tombe le monde ici.
Tiens le nom du
Audio Jungle.
Oui. 26. Oui. 51. 51. 6. 6. Altitude.
Voilà, altitude.
13. 87. 87 ou 97?
13 et 87.
Today, we are in the field to try a little to practice what we saw yesterday in the room, that is to say how to do participatory mapping with the populations, both pastoralists and farmers. In the morning, after making contact, we first agreed on the limits of the municipal forest. We made the route together. Then now, we are deploying to take the GPS coordinates of the various places which are sources of conflicts.
And at the end, members of the Boskoda Association, a platform that brings together the Mbororos of Cameroon, said they had learned great lessons from these teachings. What to hope for is a tomorrow without conflict.
Audio Jungle.
Étant membre de Boskoda,
being a member of the Boskoda, I would say that I really learned a lot coming here. Now, I know how to use the GPS tool and fill in the cartographic data sheets. I also know in what kind of streams animals can drink and what they can't. For a start, in the Okam where I live, we will try to establish a map. Subsequently, we'll try to delimit the zones of each one. We plan to teach them how to respect grazing areas and agricultural areas in order to limit damage and conflict between these different parties. This marks the end of the practical exercise of participatory cartography in the field. Back at the Addis Hotel in Chang, we witness a restitution of the work in the field, as in the classic academic exercise. We were afraid to see the first results, a work that Professor Ojukwu Tiafa is satisfied with.
We are very, very happy that at the end of the day, they themselves, the males, the females, the elderly ones, Mbororos, all of them were very implicated and were actually using the tools, the GPS, manipulating it themselves to come out with the map. So now, when we finish with the field, we had now to come back to the conference hall to process the data and then project it on the map so that they can see. So the coordinates that we took from the field, the locations that we took on the field, we came here now and then looked at an image, a satellite image that shows the true picture of the field, to project this information to appear there so that they should see what they were doing on the field, so that it will motivate them, so that they should really know that what we are doing is very, very scientific.
Nous vous rassurons que les enseignements reçus seront utilisés à bon escient.
The national president of Boskuda, the platform that brings together the Mbororos of Cameroon, already knows how the results of this workshop will be used.
The first thing we are going to try to do is identify the hot zones where agro-pastoral conflicts take place every year. Then we will intensify the training of our members so that each year we can carry out at least 2 participatory maps per region. This is the resolution taken within Boskuda.
Audio Jungle.
Et nous sommes pleinement satisfaits des résultats de cet atelier parce que, arrivé au terme des travaux, nous pouvons certifier que tous les objectifs ont été atteints.
GIZ, the NELGA program financer, intends to continue supporting the Mbororo community on this land issue. We are practically at the end of the first phase of the NELGA program financed by GIZ. We are in preparation for the second phase, and the result of this workshop will make it possible to integrate Boskuda as one of the important actors in the second phase of the project, to support them in the pursuit of actions related to the resolution of land conflicts that plague their daily lives. Thus, cartography, when it is participatory, is presented as a science that can mitigate land conflicts. We will see in the coming months how the Mbororo community will make use of it.